morning, everybody. Happy Sunday morning here in the U.S. I don't know what it is wherever you all are, but it is a time change today. So, everybody should be like thinking, well, it's lunchtime already, but you know how the time change is. So, today we're going to talk about this case that I came across, and it's the what I came across first was this interrogation of this man in what they call a soft room. So it's more like a living room area, and it's where they normally would take children and stuff. And hey, Blind Talon, hey Texas, hey Angie, hey Taco, hey Nate. Um, so we're gonna look at that. I want to look at the interrogation before we and you guys may already know about this case, but I didn't. And I think we should just look at the interrogation because the people who put out the video did a um they talk about the lie, his body language and stuff. And so it's very, very, very interesting. I hope that they're okay with me doing fair use because that's what it is, and I'm going to be showing that. um Angie Brooks. And so what I want to do is I want to watch that, and it's like 40 minutes long, and then we'll just do the recap of what actually happened. This man was reported his wife missing, and some people found a body hanging on, like had been thrown over a bridge. The body had been thrown over a bridge, and it was decapitated, and he had buried the um, skull in his cellar. So there's that. So I just found this to be a very, very well made, intriguing interrogation. I want to show you guys. So let's just get into it because I find this to be. Let's see, where is his name's Michael. Michael Parks, and her name. Here it is. Her name was can't think of her name right now. I tried to find pictures of her. I can't find. The only thing I found was an obituary. Um, just a second. So this footage that I'm going to show y'all has been viewed 2.5 million times, almost 3 million times. And the footage is analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed attorney and multiple psychology professionals. So, like I said, it's very well narrated and documented and everything. And hold on a second. So I just want let's just start there. How's that? Anybody? Hey, SA Ed Kemper. I don't know who that is. Taco. I couldn't find a picture of his. I found an obituary that matched her name, but then I couldn't verify that that was her because it didn't list him. And I don't want to put up somebody, a picture. I mean, I looked through every news article that I could find about this guy. So his name's Michael Parks, and let's see, got to put this over here. I hope everybody remembered their clock. If you're in a time zone that does that, I think some don't do it anymore. And that's a story for a whole nother time because there are issues people have with the time change, and it's difficult. We got to sleep in this morning a little bit, which is great because normally the dogs get me up at a certain time. They wake up. So we got to sleep in. Hey, Blind Talon, thank you for that. Well, let's just celebrate. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that, Blind Talon. He's a co-ed killer. Had a thing for skulls. Oh, okay. All right, let's see what this guy's up to. And look at that. Now I'm right on top of his face over here on my screen. Okay.
225 West. road. There's a body hanging off the bridge, no head. There's a car coming.
She said there's a body hanging off the bridge, no head. Can you imagine coming upon that? I can't. We're an hour apart, essay. It takes a lot of patience. I'm working on a queen size blanket. Oh.
You okay? There's a dead body.
That's a deer.
Are you sure?
Yeah. But I'll back up and I'll check.
That's a deer. A decapitated human body this woman has come upon, and now they are telling her it's a deer. This is the actual phone call.
I'm on the phone with the cops now.
Okay, she thinks it's a deer?
No, it's a body. It's a body.
Hey, chicken feet. I know, essay. Oh gosh, it's horrible.
From what I can tell, it looks like an arm.
Yeah, that's what I've seen, with no head. I'm freaking out.
You're fine. I'm going to pull over and I'm going to stay with you.
Okay. I never seen something like this.
On August 20th, 2000.
I mean, like, how many people have seen? She says she hadn't seen anything like this. Like, how many people in here have ever seen a decapitated body hanging off of a bridge? I mean, I haven't. I would never be the same.
2020, officers responded to this bone-chilling phone call. At 5 a.m., they swarmed the Sugar Creek Bridge, and upon arrival, they were taken aback by the ghastly scene before them. What had momentarily been mistaken for roadkill was a deceased middle-aged woman. Most disturbingly, her head was gone. At the same time that police were working to make sense of what might have happened to their headless Jane Doe, Indiana resident Michael Parks was making a 911.
Oh, so he's going to call 911 and say that his wife is missing after he decapitated her. Bulldog Mama, welcome. Chicken feet, welcome. Yeah, it's not something I go out of my way to look for, Texas, right? Like, who goes, like, you're walking or driving down the road, and I'm going to say, when you walk a lot I do 5 miles around these streets out here, and if you don't know this because you don't walk the streets, now that doesn't sound very good. I don't walk the streets like that for exercise. I see nails and screws in the street, those things that, flatten your tires. I found numerous times, I found baggies where people have torn out the little corner to get the last of their drugs out. I have found used condoms, not found, like I'm not looking for it. I have come upon one time I was walking my dogs, and one of them found a condom. Used. So it's what you come across when you're out there. But can you imagine? See, this little bridge, it doesn't look like it's all that high or anything in this bridge, and there's somebody hanging over it with no head. I just can't. Hey, Nanny. I just can't with this. Hey, Brandy. Mark, anybody I forget? Mark, what happened to my Razorbacks?
Call to report his wife.
Oh, so that is the picture I found of her. And I didn't realize that, I couldn't verify that was her. So that's Hope Parks. She's the one that he murdered.
Parks missing.
Hi, my name is Michael Parks, and me and my wife, we kind of got into an argument Tuesday.
We kind of got into an argument, and then I shot her in the head with the 22, and then I used a miter saw and I cut her head off, but I can't find her. She's missing. She's missing. I don't know where she is.
I haven't seen her, and I'm getting worried.
You're
Okay.
getting worried.
What's her name?
Hope. Somebody picked her up. She got into a car with somebody, and they left. It was either a silver or a white.
You mean you put her in your car and hold her off after you killed her? She got in a car with somebody.
Like Honda Civic.
Following this call,
That was probably to set somebody up. He probably knows somebody who has a Honda Civic. Like a Honda Civic?
sergeant from the Crawfordsville Police Department briefly spoke with Michael over the phone to get a description of his missing wife. Michael described a few
She's that body that doesn't have a head. I'm sorry, I'm making a joke. I'm not meaning to make a joke of this lady's life. I'm making a joke of this man. This man. She's missing. I can't find my wife. Well, what does she look like? Well, she's out there and she doesn't have a head anymore because I buried it in the cellar. She doesn't have a head now.
few of Hope's tattoos, one being a heart with his name on it. After police inspected the body's tattoos, Michael was instructed to immediately make his way to the Crawfordsville Police Department to speak
Ruh-roh,
further
Michael.
about his wife's disappearance. Only when he arrived at the station was Michael informed that the headless woman they'd found that morning matched his description of his wife. For the sake of the investigation, he was immediately escorted into an interrogation room,
Right, Texas.
where the following never-before-seen footage was recorded.
The one thing I do, I record everything because my notes suck. I can't write with crap. So I do record it.
So he's been taken into this living room type area. They explained it somewhere in here. And normally this is where they would take someone that's a victim or witness that's you need like a home environment type of thing. I'm not sure why they didn't take him into one of those. Hey, Mike, I don't know why they didn't take him into one of those regular interrogation rooms with the hard chairs and the table. But good or gruesome morning, Kerm the Frog. You've watched this before, Mark? A lot of people have watched it. Millions of people have watched this. I never have.
Everything. One thing. What is your full name, sir?
Michael Dale Hurst.
Okay.
Interrogation rooms can be scary
Here we go.
places,
Here's the
but
part.
Michael has been brought into a soft interrogation room.
Soft
This
interrogation.
is highly unusual. These soft rooms are primarily used for victims, usually children. As the grieving husband, the police may have chosen this room to offer him a bit of comfort. However, in most cases, the spouse is the prime suspect until they're cleared. If the police do suspect Michael, the choice of a soft room could then be an attempt to put him at ease. As well, the detective is making sure to alleviate any of Michael's possible concerns by telling him that the recording is for the detective's own notes.
The detective said he doesn't write good notes. He's messy, and so he needed to turn the camera on. Oh, good, Mike. Good. Oh, it is Gary. I love them. We're gonna do more of these. We're gonna do more of this kind of thing. I'm trying different things. I'm doing different things with my channel, and this is one of the things that I'm doing. So, glad you're here, Gary, and Mark, and everybody, and Taco, and everybody.
What'd you call this department about?
I'm worried about her.
You're worried about your wife?
Yes.
Okay. Why? What's going on?
I'm worried about her because the last time I saw her, I was throwing her body over the bridge, but I had already buried her head or maybe he did it later, and I had just buried her head in the cellar. Yes, please subscribe and like. Hey, Jules, welcome. Hey, CLM. Yes, I love this too, Taco. This is fun. Okay, here we go.
We've been arguing over my son for the last couple months.
Oh,
He's in and out of drugs.
and when you wear a mask on your chin, like it really serves zero purpose. Zero. This was during the more trying times of COVID, which is kind of in a lull now. A little bit of a lull, but it's still out there. Yeah, Bulldog Mama. I mean, she had a head. But anyway, why are you wearing why is this man, is he trying to hold his head on or something? Because, somebody might cut his head off.
Can't keep a job.
Talking about his son here.
He brought drugs into the house. I kicked him out. I don't want him there.
That's fair.
She wants him there.
Oh, mommy.
It got to the point where I told her to choose between me or him. One of us has got to go. Well, he left. She's been wanting him to come home. I say no. He got a speeding ticket and the proof of no insurance or whatever they call that. He has the car. It's his car.
No proof of insurance or whatever you call that. Huh? What? This man, look how calm he is, though. He's like, he's missing.
It's in my wife's name,
And they already found her.
Oh, okay.
but he paid her for the car. He never took the title. I told her to give it to him, cancel the insurance. She never did. So that's how the argument started.
So we're having an argument over the son, which people do that all the time. One parent wants to discipline one way and one wants to discipline another. And for whatever reason, mom wanted the son there, even though he was doing some stupid things, which a lot of kids do. And this man has a history of domestic abuse. So maybe mom wanted him there to protect her or somebody to love her, because this man didn't. He didn't love her. Oh, okay. I'll put that in my notes here to look up. Ed Kemper. Thank you for that. A lot of people fight over their kid, but few are decapitated, right? He can quickly pull his, oh yeah, if COVID enters the room. I mean, I'm gonna say part of the time when I wore a mask, I thought it was cool because I didn't have to worry about if I was in a bad mood or something, or I didn't want to talk to people. You know, people wouldn't recognize me under my mask and stuff. So I was like, incognito is a Mexican cartel method. Oh, Big Ed. I like interrogation videos. I also like to watch the old psychiatric videos. Oh, I love psych. Well, I mean, I got my degree in psych.
In just the first few minutes, Michael has made several assertions that indicate possible control issues. He cited several instances where he's told his wife what to do rather than communicating and making decisions together.
She texted me, asked me if I called the insurance. I said no. I said I haven't had time. You can read it.
Okay. Let's see.
Notice how Michael rubs his face after handing his phone to the detective, then proceeds to partially cover his mouth with his hand, keeping it there for the next couple minutes. Michael is also covering his genitals here.
He's covering his genitals. Always crabby. Thank you for that. I wrote that down. I'll look into that. Yeah, chicken feet. Like you could, and you can also talk to yourself and nobody would know. I don't know if I ever did that. I don't know.
This is a common barrier used by men when they feel threatened or stressed. These gestures convey anxiety and uneasiness, not unusual for someone who's just lost their spouse.
I've lost my spouse and I can't find her. Was that her that was hanging off the bridge? Wait, is this her skull in the cellar? I can't tell.
However, hiding the face is also typical of someone who might be trying to hide something else.
Your son has some drug issues or anything? Does your wife have any alcohol or drug issues?
No.
Is there anything that?
No. She's
Yes, essay.
very controlling.
Michael's answer here is completely irrelevant to the question. Instead of simply responding with information about Hope's substance abuse, he goes into a rather sudden and impertinent spiel about how controlling she is. So far, Michael has taken almost every chance to speak negatively of his wife, even if it wasn't warranted.
As far as
Very clean.
self-control or controlling on everybody?
Controlling on everybody.
Okay. Okay.
Which I'm used to it. They don't bother me.
Yeah, for 25 years. You find your niche. I mean,
I've gotten
It
used to it.
doesn't bother me. I've gotten used to it, but I killed her anyway. And I was so mad at her. I was so angry with her. I cut her head off with a miter saw. So full of rage. And right here, he's like, I'm used to it.
I take medication. I do have anger issues, but I take medication for it. But I've never done anything.
Michael continues to divulge in
If you have anger issues and you take medication for it, and then you say you've never done anything, that seems awfully like medication for something, an anger issue, but you've never done anything. You've had to have been raging for a doctor to put you on medication for anger. Always crabby. That's another one. I remember when that happened. Did they ever determine if she was under the influence of something or just had like a psychotic break or what happened? Thank you, Gary. Does he ever say why? I don't know. Yeah, it takes dedication.
Information that wasn't asked for. The fact that he has anger issues, which he takes medication for, clues detectives in on Michael's capacity to become violent. He then feels it necessary to include that he's never done anything violent to his wife. What Michael is doing here is oversharing or volunteering unnecessary and excessive amounts of information.
If any of you saw my video a week or so ago about lies, in fact, it might have been last Sunday, I'm not sure, but about lying. I wish I had this when we were doing that. They're talking about oversharing. We talked about that. That's a very good sign. That's oversharing, undersharing, both of those can be signs of lies. He had to get the right angle. Oh my gosh.
Oversharing is, more often than not, a nervous attempt to convince others that one is being open and honest. However, as you can see here, it often has the opposite effect. It's entirely possible that Michael could be oversharing to alleviate anxiety, as some people tend to do.
Okay, so nothing, controlled substance, no Xanax or anything like that. Okay. Now, and granted, it's what all families do as well, especially if you're arguing over a kid and stuff.
I want to hurt him. I hate to say this and have it on recording, but I do. I want to hurt him. That's why he had to go.
Michael doesn't even let the detective finish his question before he goes off on another tangent.
He wants to hurt his son. He's angry at his son. He's killed his wife. He wants to hurt his son. So apparently he does have problems with his wife being controlling in his words. And his wife wanted the son there and he didn't. And so he offed his wife. And now he wants to hurt his son.
This time, he derails the conversation to the topic of his son, John. Admitting to something less egregious in order to appear completely transparent is a common tactic used to gain the trust of others.
Would she confide in him or your daughter?
Yes.
Or,
Him.
okay.
Me and my daughter are real close. Her and John are real close. She'll do anything for her, which that's what makes me mad.
Michael clearly possesses a considerable level of bitterness toward his wife concerning how much she dotes on their son. Not only that, but up to this point, Michael has centered the entire interrogation around how toxic he believes his wife and son are.
Wife and son are toxic. I killed my wife. I want to hurt my son. They're close. They get along. She does anything for him. Jealous? I don't know. Yeah, is that from toxicology, Krabby? Always Krabby? Because I'm going to look into that case. That's a good one.
Painting John as the problem and his wife as an out-of-control enabler. If he did have something to do with what happened to Hope, he's just established a clear motive for himself.
When she left, you started getting in the car, right? Did you happen to see the driver at all? Couldn't tell, male, female, anything?
Frankly, Michael seems much more concerned about their intermarital issues than he does about the fact that his wife might have been found dead just that morning.
Has she ever been known to kind of step outside the marriage at all? Is there nothing?
No.
No.
Nobody from her past that she could run to?
We used to live in Illinois. Me and my daughter talked about that. I said, if anything, it's my daughter. I haven't told her yet.
Well, and we're still,
Wait, you haven't told your daughter yet that her mother's missing? What? You're at the police station being interrogated and your daughter doesn't even know that her mother is missing? Yeah, use live chat. Please subscribe and please give me a thumbs up.
they're still doing some stuff
Thanks, Gary.
somewhere else. So that's why we're talking to you to get information. And I actually don't even know what all the officers told you. I'm just trying to get
He just
Overall picture.
told me that the tattoos that I described to him, which I do have pictures of them, it's the tattoos.
I wonder if he took pictures of the tattoos after he killed her. Or before. I wonder.
Matched the description.
You said earlier you were going to give her till Friday. What made you decide to go ahead and call today?
My emotions. I'm very worried. I'm very worried about her. I miss her.
In addition to stuttering throughout his answer, Michael appears to break eye contact with the detective for a moment and looks directly at the camera. He seems uncertain in what he's saying.
We may have found her. So we're still looking into that.
Oh, now he's stressed out. Look at him. We may have found her. He knows where he put her, and he knows that she was in plain sight. So it wasn't going to take long. Yeah, not the brightest bulb, Texas. Right, Angie? You wouldn't want to know that about your mom.
Before now, Michael has been informed that the tattoos found on the headless woman matched those of his wife. However, hearing the news again begets a distressed reaction, which is expected. He covers his mouth with his hand and looks away from the detective. He also uncrosses his leg, a shift referred to as an anchor point movement. When someone is stressed, you'll commonly see shifts in their anchor points. In the case of a person who's sitting down, like
Anchor points. I've never heard that. A shift in the anchor points. Never heard that about lies.
Michael, their anchor points are their legs, buttocks, and back. Though his physical reaction is appropriate, it seems oddly void of the usual overwhelming anger or sadness that you might see from someone in Michael's position.
What made you think that something had happened to her?
I think it's just stress. I didn't think anything happened to her. Just worried. I wanted to know where she was.
This question is at first met with silence from Michael, perhaps because it requires him to go into detail about how he feels about his wife's disappearance.
Yeah, how do you feel? That would be a hard question to answer. And he does stay like pretty calm here, considering that he murdered somebody and the rest of what he did, to her body. And this guy, y'all, he only got 50 years. 50 years.
He seems uncomfortable and exasperated, but he proceeds to mumble an answer from behind his hand.
He's going to go over a couple papers with you as far as the consent and just consent to search your house and the car, because there's some things we need to find out about her. Because like I said, I don't know her. I don't know you. Because we need to find out how she got
Search her car?
Yeah. But I'll go ahead and let him fill that paperwork out. I'll step outside and I'll try to get some more information.
Michael's body language is very important here. At the mention of needing to search their home and car, Michael begins to noticeably fidget. He rubs his face and his leg begins to shake, though he seems to catch it and get himself back under control. Michael is then left alone in the
Leaving them alone in the interrogation room. Remember when, what's her name, did the handstand? Jodi Arias did the handstand. Anchor points. Looks like he's converting his mouth a little to cover his eyes. Yeah, he's covering his, yeah. 50 years not enough. No, it's not enough. But
interrogation room for the next few minutes. He changes positions and fidgets quite frequently. At one point, he even puts his head in his hands. These gestures signify stress and uneasiness.
What we'd like to do is
But, I mean, given everything, even if he didn't do it, he would have been stressed out because, he misses his wife, but he didn't love her. So, I mean, he was abusive to her. So I don't know, but no, he's guilty. So yeah, he's acting fidgety.
able to get consent, and we'd like to be able to get that from you. Is that something you'd be willing to do?
I can bring you the car right now if you want.
Normally, a search warrant is required to search someone's property. It's common knowledge that in order to obtain a search warrant, police must have probable cause, or specific facts that would lead a person to believe that evidence of a crime is located on someone's property. However, it's a lesser-known fact that police can simply ask an individual for permission to search their property. The owner's written consent is just as valid as a search warrant, and officers will often try to garner consent to search from the suspect first, especially in time-sensitive cases, as it saves them a lot of precious time and resources.
Okay. I'm gonna go over this with you, okay, sir? Are you able to read and write and understand the English language? Okay. So,
Note how his hands are positioned. When a person feels threatened or stressed, they'll sometimes subconsciously take up a position that protects or covers their vital body parts. Given the circumstances, he has plenty of reason to be anxious that could have nothing to do with guilt. He might simply be displeased with the idea of strangers rummaging through and taking things that belong to his possibly deceased wife.
would you like a bottle of water or anything? Okay.
Also, Michael's shakes are likely spurred on by intense levels of anxiety and shock that he's
Fight or flight. You just got caught. You're getting caught in a huge lie, and found blood everywhere. They found blood everywhere.
experiencing. Shaking is a common physical reaction to bad news. During this break in the interview, CPD officers made a beeline for Michael's residence to execute their search. They scanned the exterior of the property before thoroughly searching the inside of the Parks home for any clues as to where Hope might have gone on the night that she disappeared. What they would find in and around the Parks property would only raise more questions about Hope's disappearance. Questions that detectives hope Michael can answer for them. Following the break, detectives bring Michael back into the interrogation room in hopes that he may shed some light on their unexpected findings.
Do you know of anybody that would want to hurt her?
He already said he said he wanted to hurt his son. Do you know anybody who might want to hurt her? No. Really?
You said she wasn't close to anybody else. I mean, somebody that would be.
She knows how to piss people off. I can tell you that.
She knows how to piss
She knows how to piss people off, or you know how to piss people off?
No, she knows how.
It's chilling that Michael can describe his wife in such a shocking and insensitive way right after she's been found so devastatingly mangled and discarded. Perhaps he's using a bit of humor to cope with his feelings, or perhaps detectives are getting a peek into Michael's true feelings.
Well, and I do use humor to deal with my feelings. So, yeah, as y'all know, like I say things that aren't necessarily appropriate when you're covering a true crime, but I do use humor in my real life to diffuse situations. So, but I mean, he's sitting here like he murdered somebody, and he's able to smile about it, and he's smiling.
Toward his wife.
Part of what we were looking
Yeah,
for.
he lost his mask.
And we found some blood at your house. Would there be any reason why there would be blood at the house?
The question of the blood is sprung on Michael quite suddenly, likely in the hopes that they'll catch him off guard in a lie. This is called a bait question.
Bait question.
The detective will carefully observe Michael's behavioral responses to this question.
Me? I cut myself. My finger. I smashed my finger.
He cut himself. He cut his finger. There was some blood located in the garage. Like, nobody bleeds enough like that they're going to be, we found blood. No, I mean, maybe he cut his hand and maybe he bled a lot. I did one day. I hurt my hand pretty bad over here, but hey, Salem. But, he's pointing to his leg. I cut my leg. There's no sore. I mean, fresh blood and old blood are going to look different to the police. And, I mean, did he cut his leg shaving? Because he pointed down like he cut his leg shaving or something. Cut my finger, and he flipped him off, too. It was this finger.
There's some blood located in the garage.
That would be when I smashed my finger. I was doing the transmission. You say you saw the motor and stuff in there, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
See the truck?
I don't know. When you smash your finger, you don't usually bleed a whole lot, but I don't know. It could have busted his, he could have.
Badass truck.
Badass truck.
The remark about his truck seems completely inappropriate given the circumstances. However, it's not uncommon for someone who's experiencing high levels of uneasiness to make out-of-place comments in a subconscious attempt to escape the situation.
So this is kind of where you need to kind of step up to the plate and tell us what happened. It was at your house that something happened to her.
Not with me.
There's nobody else that could have been.
I don't know what to tell you.
Michael simply shrugs off the detective's theory that he somehow took part in his wife's...
Wasn't me. Nothing happened in my house. Nope. Nothing me. Yeah, it can be. I wonder if that's when he cut his... I wonder... Does he have any fresh cuts? Because, miter saws aren't built to cut off human body parts. They're not. I'm not saying they don't work, but they're not what they're made for. I don't think surgeons use miter saws.
murder.
If they do, they're specially made for surgery.
A person in his position would typically react with some measure of shock or outrage at such an accusation. Michael, on the other hand, doesn't even seem interested in what they found inside his home or what the findings could possibly mean.
Saying I did something?
Yeah. And we're just trying to figure out, obviously, you're not a bad person. You work, you've got 2 kids with her, you've lived a long life with her.
This is a strategically placed pacifier since, if Michael becomes too upset, he might close himself off or request a lawyer. This would immediately end the interview. It's in the detective's best interest to keep Michael open and willing to answer questions.
I didn't do anything. I swear to God, I did not do anything.
Swearing to God serves a similar function as a qualifier here.
He just lied to God. I swear to God, he said. I swear to God, I didn't do anything to her. You did, though. You did. You just sit there and bald-faced lie. I swear to God, I didn't do anything to her. What a loser.
It's used as an attempt to add credibility to a statement that's otherwise hard to believe. This is called bolstering.
Well, part of it is, like I said, we went through the whole house. We found everything.
The detective is intentionally being vague about what investigators found at Michael's home in order to gauge Michael's reaction before the big reveal.
What's everything?
Her. The rest of her.
Okay.
So
What?
her head. Yeah, we found everything.
This is a critical moment in the interrogation.
Uh-oh, he's covering his genitals again, y'all. Eyes. He's got his eyes closed. He's covering his eyes with his hand. He's rubbing his eyes. And he's covering his genitals. Because that's what men do when they're under stress.
Under the microscope of what should be a bone-chilling reveal, Michael's response is rather dull. There's no immediate reaction, and the reaction he does give seems to be one of exasperation rather than shock or concern. He exhales deeply, leans back, and, most notably, he covers his face once again, a move we've come to recognize as a possible attempt to hide something that the face might give away. Hope's head is perhaps the most incriminating thing that officers found inside the home. However,
if he didn't do it, and his wife's head was buried in their basement, where was he? How can you even say, well, I didn't do anything?
It's not all they found.
Uh-oh.
An exterior search of the property yielded several blood smears and stains on the gravel in front of the garage door, in the grass next to their back patio, on the wood floor of the patio itself, as well as on the ramp that leads up to the patio. Blood smears as well as bloody footprints were found inside the garage.
Yeah, you get all that from a smashed finger and a few cuts on your legs. Yeah, you get all that smeared everywhere, blood everywhere. No.
A bullet casing was also found in the grass near the patio. The interior of the home was reportedly very clean and well kept. That is, until officers got to the basement. Spots of blood were visible on the steps leading down into the foreboding cellar. Continuing down the stairs, it became apparent that there were drag marks in the shallow layer of dirt that covered the
I know, Taco. That's not the most incriminating thing, was the head buried in the cellar. Man, you disposed of her body over a bridge and you buried her head in your own home. Was that your souvenir or something? Were you going to dig it back up and, I don't know, make a Halloween display or something? I mean, really? Ugh.
concrete basement floor. Large bloody zip ties and torn pieces of plastic were also found in several locations around the
I wonder if
basement.
they tortured her.
Down there among the dust and discarded equipment, officers made the most unsettling discovery of the investigation: Hope's severed head. It had been wrapped in plastic shopping bags, placed in a shallow hole in the floor,
Yeah.
and covered in dirt and debris.
It accidentally fell off. It ended up in a grocery shopping bag, and then it got buried and covered with random garbage. Yeah, he's hiding his stuff. Yep. Yep. Hiding.
Hidden by a pile of flex ducts that had been arranged on top of the grave. Circumstantial evidence makes it apparent to everyone present that Michael had something to do with his wife's murder. However, there's not yet any physical proof that he is the one that hurt Hope.
So, and obviously you're not a bad person.
Oh, no.
You provided for your family. You've done. So what happened? What snapped?
Here, the detective is suggesting a lighter version of events, that Michael simply snapped under the pressure of his controlling wife. This version paints him as a generally good person, maybe even as a
This is indicative of the Reed interrogation technique. Oh, portraying him as maybe he's a victim too? Yeah, because, I mean, where was he knocked out while they were burying these intruders or whoever buried your wife's head in your cellar and you didn't know that was going on?
victim himself. However, if Michael were to go along with this reasoning, he'd still be admitting to killing his wife.
I know what you're thinking, but no, it wasn't me. I'm sorry.
What else could it be?
Talk to my son.
Michael has gone out of his
And he's gone out of his way to talk about how nice how his son was his mother. You know, the mom and the son were so close, and he's close with the daughter, and the mom protected the son. So that's not going to be speak with my son.
way to paint his son in a negative light. Now he's finally come out and said what he seems to have been implying. He claims that his son John is likely responsible for Hope's death.
No.
I've told you we've had people come to the house. My neighbors know about it.
Yeah, I've talked to him quite a bit today. But part of it too, you're telling your son, if he's screwing up, then, you need to step up the plate. And if you screwed up, you need to step up to the plate.
Yes, I understand.
There's nobody that's going to hurt your wife like you would hurt her. And that's what happened to her.
It wasn't me. No.
Before Michael did
Nope, wasn't me. Was it me? Nope. Wasn't me.
denies involvement this time, we catch a brief moment of hesitation, as if he's thinking about something before he seems to snap back. He then makes several sudden movements. He shifts his legs, buttocks, and back, all three
now
anchor
he's
points
rubbing
that
it.
we discussed earlier. Michael's denial is rather weak, using one-word answers and looking away. An innocent person would be forceful and adamant with their denial when being accused of murdering their wife. He's likely reflecting on his decisions up until this point and weighing his options.
The first thing you talk to is your daughter. And I'm going to explain it.
Talk to my daughter.
We'll have a seat, sir.
The detective instructs Michael to sit back down to reassert his authority and for safety reasons, as he wants to be able to see him. Michael's resolve is visibly wearing down under the pressure. Pacing is notoriously a nervous act, an effort to release nervous energy and ease mounting tension.
I'm a pacer. I pace when I get nervous. I'll walk around my house. I'm pacing and walking back and forth, talking to myself.
Something happened to her that night, and something happened to her at your house. You were the only one there at your house that night.
Yeah, it was me, Kerma.
I guess
Frog.
this is the part where I need a lawyer.
Oh,
Yes.
now
You're not listening to me.
he needs a lawyer because the cop's not listening to him. Because you aren't listening to me. What? Look how calm this police officer is. He's doing this the right way. Yeah, I mean, Hogan's Heroes. Yeah, I'm a big liar, Kerm the Frog. It was me. I did it. Because you aren't listening to me. Come on, man.
To invoke one's right to an attorney, the suspect should unequivocally declare that they want to speak to an attorney. However, if the suspect gives a more ambiguous remark about obtaining counsel, most courts require the interrogator to inquire further to clarify their desire. Michael has not yet stated clearly that he wants legal representation.
I guess this is the part where I need a lawyer.
Therefore, detectives can legally continue to question him, but ideally should have clarified if he was requesting counsel or not before continuing. Otherwise, they risk the rest of his statements being inadmissible.
I'll answer your questions. I'm just saying I didn't do this.
I'll answer your questions. I'm just saying I didn't do this. And now he's guarding his body completely. Ooh. Legs are crossed, arms are crossed. Mm-hmm.
And you can ask me this 100 times, and I'm still going to tell you I did not do this.
You're the only one at the house. You're the only one who could know what happened to your wife. Okay? You didn't mean to do this to her.
Michael's body language indicates that he shut down. The protective position of his arms across his body is a self-soothing behavior that indicates that he's closing himself off.
He said, "You didn't mean to do this." No, I didn't mean to cut my wife's head off with a miter saw. No, I didn't mean to. I'm a good guy. I have anger issues, but I take drugs for it. Medication prescribed. I wouldn't do this. I didn't do this. No, he didn't. That's the thing with lying. They don't say I didn't do this. They say, I would never do that. Things like that, but not, I did not do this. Just like he said, he said something to the effect that he needs an attorney, but he didn't say, I'm requesting an attorney. It's the way he worded it. Yeah, it's kind of hard to sugarcoat.
From the situation, likely due to sheer discomfort and stress.
Can you imagine the stress?
So we're trying to ask you, how did she lose parts of her body in your house?
No clue.
You have a clue.
No, I do not.
Yeah. There's nowhere else for us to look. There's nowhere else for us to go. There's nobody else to talk to about this. But
All right, I want a lawyer.
And
There.
just like that, the interview is over. This time, Michael has clearly communicated his desire to speak to a lawyer. The detectives are no longer allowed to ask him any more questions.
Oh, Michael.
Say so I can smoke.
Over the next 10 minutes, Michael attempts to make conversation with the detective.
There's nothing worse than being a smoker and not being able to smoke. Well, I'm sure are things worse, but as a former cigarette smoker, I can tell you that the craving is real, physical, real. It's not a mental, oh, I want a cigarette. It is the first thing that someone who smokes when they're stressed out, they're going to grab a cigarette. And he hasn't had one. They've been in here. I don't know how long this actually was because it's been edited, but, he hadn't had a cigarette. Just saying. I mean, I've been addicted to cigarettes. It's tough. You want to smoke.
Detective who's no longer inclined to speak with him, since the detective can't question him any further. After the detective refuses to allow Michael another smoke break, Michael gets up and begins to anxiously pace the room once more. When he sits back down, he sits on the side of the couch that's the farthest from the detective. This clearly communicates his desire to escape the situation as soon as possible.
Oh,
Finally,
Michael.
the silence is broken by a police officer who has come to put Michael in handcuffs. His hopes of removing himself from the situation are dashed.
You guys got this all wrong.
Can't talk to you anymore, but it's
Michael makes one last plea of innocence, but detectives are no longer feeding into it. He's escorted to a holding cell by a pair of armed police officers. However, this isn't the last that detectives will hear from Michael. Over the next few days, officers continue to investigate the Parks' home and cars, follow up on potential leads, and speak to the couple's friends and family members. Detectives have lost hope of getting any valuable information out of Michael. That is until 4 days later.
Uh-oh. That is until 4 days later. Look at where he's sitting now. What's he gonna say? Yeah, Mark. No cigarettes for 50 years, Michael. Uh-oh, this is gonna be good. 4 days later. Here we go.
When he unexpectedly requests to speak to detectives again without a lawyer present.
Uh-oh.
Hey there, Mr. Parks. Sure you remember me from the other day?
He didn't like sitting in that jail cell.
Okay.
That's
This
what it was.
interview takes place the following Monday.
It was Tuesday. I got off work early at 3:30. I was home by 4:15. Kids came over. Like I said, that was not a lie. We were arguing, like I said, over my son. I was on the back porch after everybody left. I was going to shoot a groundhog.
Why would you shoot a groundhog? No. They're kind of like hedgehogs. Don't shoot a groundhog. He's mean. And then he shot his wife.
I had groundhogs in the backyard. I knew it. My neighbor does.
Oh, no.
He never came back. I went to discharge the gun. I shot 3 rounds into the tree. I went in the house. I was going to clean the gun. I sat at the kitchen table.
Oh, my gosh, y'all. He is going to say that he accidentally shot his wife in the back of the head. Yeah, I love the pretty shoes. Oh, my gosh.
It went off. There was still 1 round in it. She hit the floor. She was fixing dinner, and I panicked. I just flat out panicked. I didn't know what to do.
In the state of Indiana, accidentally killing someone doesn't make a person guilty of murder. To be considered a murder, the prosecution must prove that the killing was intentional. Therefore, if detectives accept Michael's version of events, then the most Michael can be charged with in the state of Indiana would be reckless homicide.
Oh.
Even then, in order to win a reckless homicide charge, the prosecution would have to prove that Michael was acting recklessly.
Well, I know that what he did after the fact wouldn't count, that he cut her head off and stuff, but what the story he's come up with, I was going to shoot a groundhog and I shot 3 times into the tree, and then I went into the house and, well, I was cleaning my gun and it accidentally discharged and went into the back of her head.
And that his recklessness somehow led to Hope's death.
Oh, yeah, me too,
Blood everywhere.
Angie.
I covered it up. I picked everything up. I cleaned the mess up. I put it in the garbage. Everything else is just kind of a blur.
If Hope's death was an honest accident, it doesn't make logical sense that he would try to cover it up. Typically, when someone has accidentally hurt another, especially someone they love, their first move would be to call for help or to take some action to try.
And this is the same thing that happened to little Quentin Simon, from what we've been told. From what we know, something happened in that home, maybe an accident even, but they disposed of his little body. And they hid his little body somewhere, maybe in the, in that dumpster, in the landfill. That ended up in the landfill. So what are you trying to cover up if you accidentally hit your wife in the head? That would be a lot easier for the police to look at than somebody found her body hanging off a bridge and her skull buried in your basement.
Try to save their life.
Yeah,
Michael,
Harry.
on the other hand, didn't even try to correct his supposed mistake. To make matters worse for detectives, Michael's story not only features unlikely details, but also missing details or blurs the detectives have to uncover. His recount is seeming more unreliable as it unfolds.
What do you do after that?
I sat there and I cried. I thought about everything that was going on with fighting, with John, with the gun. Nobody was going to believe me.
Michael has gotten to what is supposedly a very emotional and traumatic moment in his story.
Nobody was going to believe me. And so you just made it even worse. Nobody's going to believe anything you say now after what you did. Nobody's going to believe. If I was worried that nobody was going to believe me about something, the first thing I would think of would not be to cut off somebody's head. Where does that even come into your mind?
Therefore, it's odd that he recounts it with little emotion. His lack of emotional reaction over the course of the interviews is noteworthy.
Yeah, and then insinuate the son did it.
I'm sorry I lied.
No, that's fine. Now here's a chance for you to tell us what happened. So
I'm sorry I lied. That doesn't get you anywhere.
she's on the floor. You're upset, obviously. What did you do at that point?
I wrapped her in a tarp and took her down to the basement. I cleaned everything up.
By telling detectives how he moved the body and cleaned the scene, Michael might have just unknowingly admitted to tampering with evidence.
Uh-oh.
Even if he does secure himself a lesser murder charge, the prosecution could potentially use that information against him to get him more jail time.
Good.
When you took her downstairs, you said you wrapped her up in a tarp.
Where's the blue tarp?
Michael covers his face entirely with his hand, and his voice breaks as if he's crying. It doesn't seem that there are any other indicators of genuine emotion, though. No sniffles, tears, or heavy breathing.
Poor Michael.
If this is an attempt to feign sadness, it's a rather lackluster one. It's more likely that this performance is an excuse to hide his face, which Michael has proven to do when he's lying.
I only know about guns and what people tell me, so I'm just regurgitating information as far as...
That's the only gun I've ever fired.
Okay. The closer you are to something or somebody, you get more residue, and the further away, the less residue you get when you fire the gun. So she seemed to have some residue around the entry wound.
Uh-oh. That means you put the gun up close to her, Michael. Hey, Sandra.
So that would indicate that the gun would be closer, well, 4 or 5 feet.
This single piece of evidence puts a rather large hole in Michael's story. If Michael can't bridge this gap between his story and the evidence, it would be nearly impossible for Michael's attorneys to prove that the shooting was accidental.
And for me to be able to help, I gotta know your side.
I don't know how close she was standing. I know that she was getting ready to fix dinner. That's all I know. And I sat down. I had the gun in my hand. That's when it went off. I'm telling you, I did not do it deliberately.
Michael likely knows that he's in a deep hole right now, since his assertion that he didn't deliberately shoot his wife isn't said with much conviction.
Well, Michael, I mean, you are a loser. You tried to blame it on your son. You said you didn't do anything, and now you're admitting that you took the tarp and moved her body and all this stuff. So, yeah, can you imagine? Can you imagine talking to somebody like, you cut off your wife's head? Man.
On the contrary, it seems there are notes of desperation in his voice. He needs detectives to believe his story, yet he's likely very aware that his defense of "I don't know" isn't helping his case at all.
The doctor and the gun shop, he actually put in his report that it was a contact wound, which means the barrel was close to the skin when it went off.
He doesn't know anything about guns. It's the only gun he's ever fired. Well, then you shouldn't be trying to shoot a groundhog with it. Just happened to shoot the groundhog with it and have one bullet left that you accidentally shot your wife with from across the room, but up close. Right.
Maybe she was closer than what I thought.
Yeah.
Now the detectives are back on the topic of the gunshot wound. Michael has wrapped his arms tightly around himself. This is a protective position that may be Michael's attempt at self-soothing. It's clear that Michael is uncomfortable with this subject, very possibly because he doesn't have an answer for it.
So if you're at the table and she's at an angle could.
Can I get some more?
It seems that Michael might be asking for some water to create a break in the conversation, perhaps to buy himself time to think of a sufficient answer to the detective's questions.
There's going to be two schools of thought on this. One, somehow you tragically shot her with the muzzle of the gun touching the back of her head.
Yep.
Or two, there was a disagreement, there was an argument, and a snap,
There was no
bad
argument.
judgment. No argument after everybody left.
No argument.
Were you still just upset from the argument earlier? It's just people on the outside looking in.
I don't care what anybody else thinks. The whole thing was shooting her. If she was where she was standing, I don't know. If she was right there, I don't know. I did not stick the gun to the back of her head and pull the trigger. I did not do that.
And all I'm telling you is the science proves differently.
Then she was closer than what I thought.
A lot closer.
That's all I can say.
Okay. You didn't want her to die.
No.
But he said early on in the interview that he wanted to hurt his son. So he does have those thoughts of physically hurting someone else.
But circumstances led to her death. What was the mental capacity of you at the time? Were you so enraged from an earlier argument that she mouthed off something and you don't know what you did?
The detective is offering Michael a way out by suggesting that his actions were simply triggered by something that his wife might have said. This shifts some of the blame onto his wife, which may make it easier for Michael to admit his part in what happened.
Kind of a Tasmanian devil kind of event after she's on the ground. You lost it. And it's okay to tell me that because that shows emotion.
And before he came in, that was the one thing that I was trying to figure out what happened. The hamburger, if she's down here.
I think I'm the one that knocked it off the stove.
Can you tell us what's going on when that hamburger gets knocked?
You knocked the hamburger off the stove. Damn, I would have eaten that.
Off the stove.
Yeah, I think I called myself an idiot. The you do?
By recalling what specific words he used at the time, he might be trying to draw attention away from what actually caused the hamburger to be knocked off the stove, such as a fight or struggle.
Ever been a problem with that rifle's trigger and going off when you didn't want it to, or?
Not that I know of, no.
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. Well, it's your gun. You would know about it if it accidentally went off at another time. Just accidentally went off.
I didn't even have it that long.
Okay.
Maybe a week and a half.
The fact that Michael had only been in possession of the rifle for such a short period of time could be used as evidence against him in court. The prosecution could make the case that it was reckless of Michael to be wielding a loaded firearm that he wasn't familiar with indoors, especially next to a family member.
Hey, Sandy, thanks for stopping in. He should say, my wife is known to lose her head when mad. His only chance. Yes. Yeah, DNA.
The detective begins questioning Michael about the details related to dismembering his wife.
Oh, no.
I mean, none of us are young anymore, so your skin doesn't stay like it should. So each drag, did like just the muscle and the skin go with it?
I don't even remember doing
I
it.
don't remember that part. Yeah. And that's the brain again, trying to...
I don't remember dragging her body. I don't remember. Who's been saying they don't remember something lately in our true crime community? Leilani Simon. I don't remember. The police say I did X, Y, and Z, but I don't remember. Right. Mm-hmm.
Protect you from typically the goriest, most traumatic parts.
Another benefit of Michael's selective memory defense is that he doesn't have to disclose the gory details of what it was like to cut off his wife's head. He could be under the impression that giving those details would only serve to make him appear more like a cold-blooded killer.
There is no way that the gunshot happened the way you're presenting it. So
This is the time.
It's like I said, I don't remember exactly how it happened. I'm telling you, I did not do it on purpose.
Didn't kill her on purpose or didn't shoot her on purpose?
I didn't shoot her on purpose.
Didn't kill her on purpose or didn't shoot her on purpose? I didn't shoot her on purpose. But you wanted to kill her then? Like, you were so angry at her that you cut her body apart. You cut her head off.
The detective's question implies that Michael might have intended to shoot Hope without intending to actually kill her. However, under Indiana law, this is actually somewhat of a false dichotomy. Murder in Indiana is classified as any killing done purposefully or knowingly. Here, knowingly means taking action without the specific intent to kill a person.
Oh, wow. Indiana's got some tough laws there. Wow.
But nonetheless with knowledge that death is substantially certain to occur. Since the evidence from Hope's autopsy proves that Michael shot his wife at point-blank range, even if he didn't exactly intend to kill her, Michael could still be convicted of murder simply.
Do you ever just shoot somebody in the head without the intent to kill them? If that's not your intent, then why are you shooting somebody in the head? Like, because, oh, well, last time I shot somebody in the head, they didn't die or anything. They just had a headache. Please.
Simply because he was knowledgeable that such an action would almost certainly result in her death.
It just happened.
So in your opinion, would you call that just recklessness? It was just, because if you've got it up in the air, nobody's going to say, well, you couldn't have shot her if it was laying on the table facing down the hallway.
Reckless, yes.
Unbeknownst to him, under Indiana law, Michael has just admitted to reckless homicide.
The conversation we were having at the time was over John. With the insurance, the car insurance. Because she lied to me over the car insurance.
And then he told them to talk to his son about the murder. But now, he's going back to, yeah, we were fighting about John.
She told me that she was going to cancel the insurance.
I know.
This detail makes the circumstances surrounding Hope's death much different. He's admitted that he and his wife actually were arguing at the time he was in the kitchen with the gun, whereafter she turned around and walked away. This version of events shows an obvious motive and opportunity for Michael to shoot her in the back of the head. It makes you wonder what else Michael has lied about thus far.
Yeah, he's lied about everything. Accidentally shot her in the back of the head because his .22 just misfired after he fired 3 shots trying to kill a groundhog. Oh, thanks, Mike. After he tried to kill a groundhog. And why are you trying to kill a groundhog? It didn't do anything to you. That's like trying to kill a hedgehog. Don't.
Are you a fist pounding kind of guy when you're mad? You're like, damn it, woman, just do what I'm asking you to do. And the gun was in your hand, unfortunately, at that time. Squeeze reflex?
Yes. I don't remember everything. But what you said makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can we go with that? Because maybe, yeah, Geico made him do it because, that sounds better than me just shooting her in the head. It had to be some kind of accident. It just had to be some kind of weird accident. Yep, there you go, Gary. Yeah, the trophy was buried in the basement.
Like I said, that it was not intentional.
Michael seems to finally be resigning himself to some explanation of how he shot Hope, probably after realizing that detectives weren't going to back down until his story matched the evidence.
I just want to know why. Because that's the same thing you're going to want to know. Same thing your daughter wants to know. When
Yes.
your son wisens up, it's the same thing he's going to want to know.
I know why it happened. I can never tell him. I can't do that.
What does that on his leg look like? A bloody something on his right leg? If you're, why? 5 more for the hamburger. Exactly. Who wastes a hamburger like that? I mean, my dogs would have scooped that up in about 2 seconds, but
Yeah, because that's the reason why I pulled the trigger. not intentionally.
Yeah.
Again, Michael cites his son
Is that what Mark said? She loses her head from time to time? Or is that you, Mike? That's a funny comment.
as the reason for his plight. However, this is the first time he specifically said that John is the reason that he killed his wife.
Yeah, Texas.
He quickly tries to backtrack, though the statement implies that Michael is probably more aware of the reason behind Hope's death than what he's letting on. He may have slipped up due to stress and fatigue from the long interrogation. After 4 long hours, the interrogation is now over. Michael is escorted from the interrogation room without further incident. Following his interview, Michael was moved to Montgomery County Jail, where he sat for almost 2 years.
Oh, poor
He
Michael.
was scheduled to stand trial in front of a jury on May 9th, 2022. That is, until investigators made a single haunting find that would spell doom for Michael's case.
Uh-oh.
It was discovered that prior to Michael murdering his wife, he'd been doing online research on the effectiveness of bottle silencers.
Oh, Michael. Michael was doing research on bottle silencers online. You know, that history that your computer keeps up with. Oh, Michael. It was an accident. It was just an accident. Oh, Michael, you're not very smart.
Bottle silencers are makeshift gun silencers constructed simply from plastic bottles. Not only that, but he'd also looked into whether pillows could be used to muffle gunfire. This discovery proved that the murder of 44-year-old Hope Parks was indeed premeditated, and, under Indiana state law, crushed all possibility of Michael receiving anything less than a murder charge. On May 6, 2022, just 3 days before he was scheduled to stand trial, Michael changed his plea from not guilty to guilty and accepted a negotiated plea deal.
Those search histories can get y'all. And, you know, if you're into true crime, you do search for a lot of things, you know, but those search histories, they got you. They got you right there. They got him with the search history.
On May
Oh.
9th, Michael Parks was found guilty of the murder of his wife, Hope
Yay.
Parks. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison without the possibility
Well, that's
of parole.
good. 50 years.
We reached out to Michael through email to see if he would be willing to share his side of the story and answer some of our questions about the case.
And he said no.
At first, we didn't hear back, but when Michael finally responded, he stated that he would only participate in a discussion if we met his list of
Uh-oh.
demands, including $300 to be put into his commissary
He wanted $300 to talk to them. $300 isn't very much money. Wow, Michael, you wanted money.
account, and for a fan and a television, specifically 36 inches or more, to be shipped to his facility. We did not agree to any of these
No.
terms and are still waiting to hear back if Michael will speak with us.
No TV for you, Michael. No TV, no fan, no commissary money.
Michael is set to be released in 2070 when he is 94 years old.
Yeah, that's pretty much life because I don't think he'll live to be 94. I mean, it's possible, but yeah, I didn't see that coming. Did y'all? Hey, Black Cat. Shame that didn't work for Casey Anthony. Search history disregarded there. Yeah, well, that was one effed up case. That was one effed up case, and her you know, like her family was taken up for her too. And you know, once mom simmered down in that Casey Anthony case, she started trying to defend her and stuff. It was crazy. That was the craziest case. So yeah, we have a couple of so an autopsy found that Hope Parks died from a gunshot wound to the head. According to court documents, Michael Parks decapitated his wife's head using a miter saw before burying her head in the basement floor and moving her headless body to a bridge over Sugar Creek, where he left it slumped over the railing. Like, he didn't even try to hide this headless body. Isn't that crazy? Now, I've got a couple of just reports here that I want to watch. This is when he got charged. All right. This is when he first got charged, or yeah, let me share this. We already know what happened, but I think it's interesting to go back and look at these police report. I mean the news reports. All right. Got to put it over there though. All right.
To move her body to the bridge and blood-covered rags buried in the
100 yards from my house. 200 yards from my house, this guy's chopping his wife up and putting her in the basement, and it's scary. It really is.
Neighbors in shock after finding out a man killed his wife, buried her head, and dumped her body onto a bridge. The Crawfordsville man facing felony murder charges after police found his wife's head inside their home.
44-year-old Michael Parks was in court this morning after being charged with murder. News 8's Sarah Hignite has more on the disturbing details of this case.
A true nightmare on Elm Street. What started as a missing persons investigation quickly took a turn when police arrived to the Parks residence here on Elm Street in Crawfordsville. Evidence led them to the cellar where they found the head of Hope Parks buried.
Michael Parks gave police permission to search his home after he reported his wife missing on August 20th.
So maybe he dismembered her. Maybe he took her head off so that they wouldn't find out her cause of death. But yet, you're going to bury it in your home? Like nobody's going to figure this out? I mean, he's not very smart, y'all. This man is not smart. It is very scary. Wow, that's dumb. You should have buried the head somewhere else and cleaned up all the blood, and still would have been convicted though.
Police arrived to the Parks home to find blood stains on the driveway, garage floor, the deck, and in the grass. Their search efforts led them to the cellar where they found the head of Hope Parks.
I knew something terrible had happened because they don't just haul the vehicle away, and the whole property was, wrapped in caution tape.
Seth Hubble lives down the street. He took this video of police towing Michael's car off the property.
The neighborhood was very eerie that night.
The night before Michael reported his wife missing, Hubble's wife heard something suspicious outside.
She had come outside on the porch and she had heard somebody screaming, get off me, please let me go.
Police say Michael shot Hope in the back of the head with a rifle before dismembering her.
The case truly started here. Police had gotten a call that the body of a woman without a head was found here on the Sugar Creek Bridge on County Road 225. Now, while police were here setting up a scene about 3.5 miles away from the Parks residence, Michael Parks had walked into the police department to report his wife missing.
We kind of was putting it all together and kind of figured it out.
Michael told police he hadn't talked to his wife for 2 days after they had gotten in a fight, and she threw her wedding ring and keys at him, then drove away with someone. Police found Hope's phone in a safe inside the couple's bedroom. They also found a blue tarp they believe he used to move her body to the bridge and blood-covered rags buried in the same place they found her head.
Oh, let me just put the evidence down here in my basement. Nobody will ever find that. We'll just put the bloody rags down there. We'll put the head down there because, well, why would they be looking here for anything? No evidence in my home. I didn't do anything. Oh, thanks, Extinct Tube. I didn't do anything. All I did was, accidentally shot my gun after I tried to kill the groundhog. And it accidentally shot my wife in the kitchen. And I just cut her head off. And I buried it. And I buried the bloody rags too. Nobody's ever going to figure me out. Oh, yeah, I bet he did. Sucked at hiding Easter eggs, Mark.
We had a feeling it was homicide.
Neighbors are in disbelief that this all could have happened, and no one had the slightest idea what was going on inside of 1011 Elm Street.
The gunshot, I didn't hear that, and I'm thinking, how could I have not heard a gun?
They must have had a grandbaby, either from the son or the daughter, because there's a baby swing.
Shot like that.
Michael Parks had his initial hearing this morning. His trial is set for January. In the meantime, he's being held in the county jail without bond. Reporting in Crawfordsville, I'm Sierra Hignite, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
All right. We will just keep following you and following you and following you. Now, there's wrong thing. All right. This is after he gets... a second. Come on. There we go. This is after he gets think it's a video. All right, let's put this over here. I think it's a video. Well, maybe it's not a video. Okay, it says a Crawfordsville man was sentenced to 50 years in prison as part of a plea agreement in the death of his wife nearly 2 years after her head was found in the cellar of the couple's home. So this was in May 9th, 2022 is when this article was, and she had died in 2019. Always finish last at hide and go seek. Michael Parks was sentenced on Friday in the Montgomery County Courthouse. He was originally set to take part in a jury trial before entering the plea agreement on murder charge. He killed his wife at their home, either on or it was in 2020, a few weeks before August 2020. So that was pretty quick turnaround to get him, he had a court date coming up and then he pled guilty. So yeah, a trophy. He originally told police she went missing after they got in an argument. When police investigated the Parks home, dried blood was found in the driveway and garage. After obtaining a search warrant, police found Hope Park's severed head buried in their cellar. It was determined she had been shot in the back of the head. She also suffered blunt force trauma to her chest and extremities. Police also found additional hair and plastic bags containing blood-covered rags in a hole in the cellar floor. Wow. Wow. Let me see if this news channel has any more. Well, we already know what happened. Yep. How did she lose her body parts in your house? That was the question. How do you do that? Y'all, a trophy head. Like, how do you just accidentally shoot somebody and then you blame it on your son? You blame it on her because she was controlling. You blame it on, I don't know. I didn't do it. I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't do anything. I didn't do it. Wow, sicko, right? Y'all, these people, how can you just do that? How can somebody, it's hard for me to imagine a human being being that evil that you could be married to somebody for all that time and then kill them with a gun and beat them up and then cut their head off. I will, Mike. I sure will. This is fun. Groundhog population is now out of control in that neighborhood. Yeah, because he was shooting them. He was shooting them, but he wasn't very good. He just had that gun for a week, y'all. He needed more practice with his gun. And he needed to learn how to clean it because really, if you've had a gun for like a week, I don't think you really need to be cleaning that gun yet, do you? I don't know. Yeah, please thumbs up and subscribe. I'll definitely do some more of these. I have some other commentary planned on some other kind of things too. This is interesting to me and kind of fun because I can laugh at this convicted man and I don't like laughing at somebody. I don't want a victim, I don't want to be laughing at that. So as far as true crime, when I do, I got to be all serious and everything. Yeah, thanks, Gary. I think that this has come up on a good idea for lives. I had the list yesterday asking y'all to give me some ideas, and this one just popped up today. I just found it this morning, and I decided to do it. So it worked out really good, and I appreciate everybody who's here today. If you're new to me, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot of different kinds of content. I have been doing a lot of different kinds, but I'm moving kind of in a new direction. So I've got new people to me and people who have been with me a while. And so, hey, Blonde Fury, I had my girl clean her gun for 2 weeks before she could shoot. Oh, okay, Blonde Fury. That makes sense. You do? You watch them all the time? Yeah, I like this. So there'll be more of this and some other things that I have planned and maybe some drama here and there too. Because you can't ever get completely away from drama. And good Taco. Yeah, yeah, we're not laughing at the victim. So I just want everybody to realize that I'm laughing at this man. He's funny because he's so dumb. Like he's so stupid that he thought he was going to get away with this. Like, I don't know. I didn't do anything. Come on, loser. And now I want a hamburger. Go figure. I mean, after he knocked the hamburger in the floor, he killed her. Now I'm craving a hamburger. Dumb. Oh, dumb man. Wow. Yeah, you do. That's how I get around with my life. Like when the tree fell in my yard. Well, gratitude too. Gratitude that that tree can't fall again because it's already fallen. Oh yeah, thanks Texas. Thanks for everybody for being here and for subscribing to my channel and for a thumbs up on your way out if you haven't already. And I will see you guys soon with more fun content. Bye everybody. See you soon.